Hi, I'm Dave from Rampant Wolf Games, here with,
Chris from Deus Ex Machina.
and here to talk about the top 5 epically large games. Now, I think we define this as games that were either large in footprint or just large in experience.
Yeah, specifically games that it has a large footprint and it goes on for a long time. It has to be a combination of those two. Because there are small games that can go a long time and big games that don't last very long. This is kind of an amalgam of those two concepts.
Fair enough.
Number 5 is...
Firefly, the board game. Now, this
Specifically, when you get Firefly and some or all of its many expansions, which you all have.
which I have all.
He has them all.
Yeah.
In a giant wooden box, which I'm not going to lift up because I'm weak.
Yeah, it's called Big Damn Crate for a reason.
I'm so envious.
Yeah, when you play this game, it is like the ultimate pick up and deliver game. Really is what it is.
You get this instead of Outer Rim. That's what everyone's saying.
Actually, that's what most people are saying. It can last many hours, and the thing is that if you're a fan of the, while albeit short-lived Firefly show,
Great show, by the way.
it is. You feel like you're in the universe. It sucks you in with all the different contacts and all the people, and all the screen caps and grabs and the quotes from the show. You're just like, hey, yeah, that's cool. So,
Yeah, you told the story.
yeah.
So that's Firefly, number 5. Number 4 for epically large... Supposed to be Medora. Why did I... Number 4 for epically large games is Medora, and it's not... We almost were thinking of putting another game similarly, like Gloomhaven, but Medora is just so much bigger.
And better.
Reserving
dice. It has dice.
So...
Don't take away my dice.
I'm referring to the game that... How big is its campaign book? It is gigantic. And that was only part 1. At the time of this recording, there's part 2, part 3. It's weird that they were doing part 2 and 3 as a Kickstarter, not just doing 2.
Yeah, I think part of it was that they realized they needed to get this out because of just the sheer amount of production that's going to be involved.
And it's a gigantic production. Took longer than Gloomhaven to make because it was actually one of the first big campaigns and only started delivering recently.
Yeah, and with all the other expansions for it, it will be 160 plus hours of gameplay, which...
It's technically more than Gloomhaven as well.
I think so, yeah.
Because even though Gloomhaven has like 100 and some missions lined up, not very many that are actually part of a streamlined game.
Well, and that's just it. This has a narrative behind it. Like, literally, when you
If it wasn't for the fact that the buy-in for the triple pack is not $345 US, I would actually consider it, and then I would get...
You're still considering it.
I'm still considering it, but I also don't want to get dumped by my fiance. And it's cooperative.
And it's cooperative.
Like Gloomhaven. Which, actually, is it more cooperative? Because Gloomhaven has a few moments, has elements that we find annoying, which is more of a divorce from pure co-op. Is Medora pure co-op, or is it like
It's pure co-op.
Or is it like Gloomhaven where you can't tell anyone?
No.
It's a secret.
No.
So that's number 4. Medora, I'm sure you'll be hearing a lot about it soon.
Number 3 for epically large games is Arkham Horror 2nd Edition.
Because 3rd edition took away that epicness.
It did.
And you like the epicness.
I do. I like the ability to be... If I want to sit 8 people down to a game, I can. When you give me the ability where I can't do that...
I don't even have that many friends.
I've played Arkham Horror 2nd Edition so many times with 8 people, it's not even funny.
Oh, I feel bad.
But it takes up so much footprint. There is so much content for it. I mean, and let's just give it... It's by the original author of horror, H.P. Lovecraft. I mean, not who... That's what it's based on. Let's rephrase that. It's based on...
Also, don't look up H.P. Lovecraft. He was an awful person. But moving on.
Yes. But, yeah, it is one of the biggest, buzzes these days is everything Cthulhu and stuff. But honestly, there's so much replayability to that game, especially if you included all the expansions. There's so many characters. It can just get to the point where it's just too much, which some reviewers, I won't mention who they are, have said that makes it a horrible, horrible game. But honestly, just don't play with those expansions. Pull those pieces out. Otherwise, it's perfectly fine. It's just, you can play it how you want to play it. If you want to go shopping and get lots of weapons to kill monsters, go do that.
So that is Arkham Horror 2nd Edition.
Not to be confused with 3rd Edition, which is...
Number 2 for epically large games is a game that we just have to put in this list. It's kind of a requirement. It's kind of like, sky is blue, grass is green, women have secrets, and Twilight Imperium just falls on this list. Mm-hmm. It is a huge game with 345 miniatures.
I think so, yeah.
So it's a lot of miniatures. We're looking at the box over there. It is a lot of miniatures. It is a big game, but it also encompasses the other aspect is that it is a very long game. You set up Twilight Imperium, and then you have breakfast. Then you play Twilight Imperium for a bit, and then you have lunch, and then you play Twilight Imperium, you have dinner, and then you conclude Twilight Imperium. I'm being a bit facetious.
Not really.
Being hyperbolic. The game doesn't necessarily always have to run that way.
I believe an hour and a half per player.
Yeah.
That said on the box. That's actually what it says.
Yeah. That being said, how many players does it go up to?
6.
Yeah. Like if you have, I think Caverna can go up to 8 players, and at 30 minutes a player, you're doing that for a while. I know, like same thing with Nicole. Nicole is played like a 9-player Carcassonne. She's got all the expansions, and she plays for 9 hours straight. She plays by herself because nobody will ever play with her. But that's Twilight Imperium. You just have to have it on this list. It's a big game. It's a requirement for most everyone. It's ironic that you just got it in your collection.
Yep.
So that's number 2, Twilight Imperium. Well, number 1 for a game for epically large games is a game that we both are somewhat in agreement falls on this list.
Oh yeah.
Everything else we kind of contested. This was the one thing that shared that list, and that was Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. Wow.
Yeah. That is a game that it doesn't lose anything when it gets big.
Well, the fascinating thing about it, beyond the fact that it goes up to, with your expansions,
7.
Goes up to 7 players. So it's a 7. It goes up to 7 players. The board takes up, fries are up, takes up 6 feet of space by 3 feet. Your individual playing areas are large enough because you have dozens of miniatures you have to work with. Mm-hmm. And if you go to 7 players, one player actually has an elevated little sky castle that's actually physically elevated on the board. Wow. And with 7 players, you don't have as much downtime because, like a couple of other games made by the same people, you can follow up other people, which means at 7 players, it still engages people.
Mm-hmm. And 5 hours go by like that.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it's an epically large game, which I think is done right. Mm-hmm. There's a game where you look at it and go, "Oh my God, do not play with people for this game with 7 players." You're like, well, it becomes your big game that day.
Yeah,
but don't feel as if, like I said, I have problems with low attention. I have ADHD. Who are you? What's that? Oh, the door. And yet, I was incredibly entranced for that entire thing. I would absolutely. It was one of those situations. I would play the game again, but there's a part of me that was just like, okay, just taps me into my veins so we can play it through.
Yeah.
It was a good experience.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that?
No, you pretty much said everything exactly how I felt about the game. It was, for what I thought going into, for like a 7-player game, I thought, oh, this is going to be frightening. But there's a lot of times where I'll do that. Like, I'll set up a game where I know it's going to be painful just because I know, I tell myself, I'm like, if I don't do this, it's just going to sit on the shelf. And I'm never going to know for sure that it's painful. It's going to be one of those things where, like Schrodinger's cat. Is the cat actually in the box and is it dead? Well,
he wrote that theory in 1952, I think, so the cat is certainly dead.
Cat is certainly dead.
Yes, yeah. I think we've answered that.
But, where you have these games on your shelf and you're like, I'm pretty sure it's a bad game, but I haven't bothered to try it yet.
Well, I'm glad, for your sake, it wasn't a bad game, because that was not a cheap game. No. Like, I would never need to have the 7-player expansion, which sucks because I love the birds.
Yeah. But you can buy them separately. You don't have to get them.
I know, but still, there's enough races in the core set.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, it is an epic It is huge, at a massive footprint. I think it's a perfect definition of what a game like that should be, and I like the fact that you can't follow other people's turns, so you're constantly engaged because you have to know what they're doing. That's our number one pick, Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea.